The Northcott Theatre is a theatre situated on the Streatham Campus of the University of Exeter, Devon, England. It opened in 1967 and was run until 2010 by the Northcott Theatre Foundation, when the company ceased operating after a period in administration. The theatre is now known as Exeter Northcott Theatre and became a registered charity in June 2013. History. The Northcott is the seventh building in Exeter to be used as a theatre. In 1962, the Theatre Royal, Exeter was demolished to be replaced by an office block. However, there were many people in Exeter who were determined that the city should not be without a theatre for very long. Early in 1962, Mr. G.V. Northcott had started negotiations with the board of directors of the Theatre Royal with the view to saving the theatre and its recreation as a theatre and arts centre. A small group from the University of Exeter prepared a memorandum explaining how they saw the Theatre Royal functioning in the kind of way that Mr. Northcott visualized and outlining some ideas. They submitted this memorandum to the board of directors of the Theatre Royal and to Mr. Northcott. After some time, however, negotiations failed to develop and the Theatre Royal was sold. For a time, informal discussions continued between Mr. Northcott and the university, and later in 1962 more formal contacts were made. The then Vice-Chancellor pointed out that the university had for some time earmarked a site for a theatre on its development plan, and it was possible that, in collaboration with the university, Mr. Northcott's ideas for a theatre and arts centre could be realised. Ultimately, the university offered a site. Mr. Northcott established a trust with a benefaction of £100,000 to establish the Northcott Devon Theatre and Arts Centre, which would serve the needs of the community in the region. The Northcott Theatre opened with a production of The Merchant of Venice, starring Tony Church, its first artistic director, on the 2nd of November 1967. Barbara Hepworth unveiled one of her sculptures in the foyer on opening night. The architects were Sir William Holford and Partners and the theatre consultant Michael Waugh. Actors who spent time in the Northcott Company in their earlier careers include Polly James, Leslie Joseph, John Nettles, Robert Lindsay, Brian Prothero, Bob Peck, Geraldine James, Caroline John, Celia Imrie, Nick Brimble and Imelda Staunton, and Nicholas Heitner professionally directed his first straight drama here. In its first years, the company originated a number of plays of West Country interest, including new historical drama by Jack Emery and an adaptation of the Cornish Passion Play. It also toured productions throughout the area. The Northcott has a strong history as a producing repertory theatre. That is to say, the bulk of its historical productions were staged by the company itself, rather than being brought in from elsewhere. As built, the theatre was given a semicircular main house auditorium seating 433 people with an orchestra pit on a mechanical lift being also configurable as theatre in the Rounder Cinema. The capacity of the venue was increased in the 2007 refurbishment and it can now seat 464. Expansion and threatened closure. In March 2005, the directors of the Northcott announced that planning permission and funding would be sought for a £3.1 million building project to expand front-of-house facilities and increase the capacity of the auditorium to 538 seats. Having raised £2.1 million, the theatre was closed for refurbishment in January 2007 and reopened on the 12th of December 2007, near the 40th anniversary of its first opening. The refurbishment provided the following: new auditorium seating, additional wheelchair spaces, a lift to all public levels, providing full disabled access, improved disabled facilities, redecorated and upgraded public areas, additional space for eating and drinking in the foyer, an enhanced entrance area, refurbished and improved technical areas. The day before the rebranded Exeter Northcott reopened in December 2007, Arts Council England threatened withdrawal of its entire £547,000 annual grant. The loss of a third of the theatre's operating costs would result in a drastic cutback in production and job losses, if the theatre even managed to stay open. However, on the 1st of February 2008, the Arts Council England announced a reprieve for the Exeter Northcott and its continued funding, following the discovery of a legacy of accounting problems inherited from the previous management. The trustees placed the theatre into administration on the 25th of February 2010. This decision was opposed by Arts Council England, which had earlier sent in a forensic accountant to investigate the extent of the problem. These investigations had not yet been completed. Jeff Myers, chairman of the theatre's trustees, said, "We took this decision with a heavy heart, but when presented with the latest financial information, we had no choice but to place the theatre into administration. It is to be hoped that the way can be found to effect a rescue of the theatre. Exeter City Council and the university have agreed to help find a way to save the theatre." On the 5th of June 2010, it was confirmed by administrators Begbie's Traynor that a new company set up by the university had purchased the theatre, the Exeter Northcott Theatre Company, and the immediate future of the theatre was thought to have been secured. In September 2014, Exeter Northcott Theatre announced a new major sponsorship agreement with law firm Brown Jacobson. Artistic Directors list formally published on the Northcott Theatre website. 1967 to 1971, Tony Church, Robin Phillips, Bernard Goss. 1971 to 1974, Jane Hull, Jack Emery and Amp, Kevin Robinson. 1974 to 1977, Geoffrey Reeves, Clive Barker. 1978 to 1980, Richard Digby Day, Michael Winter and Amp, Crispin Thomas. 1981 to 1985, Stuart Trotter. 1986 to 1990, George Roman, Martin Harvey. 1991 to 1998, John Dernan, Tim Carroll, Charlotte Conquest and Amp, Gillian King, Robert Shearman. 1998 to 2008, Ben Crocker. 2008 to 2010, Rebecca Manson-Jones. 2015, Paul Jepson.